You are listening to WOSD. I'm your host, Miriam Stein from the Marketing and Communications Unit, and thank you for joining us for our discussion about OSD's partnership with Procurated. In 2020, the Operational Services Division launched its partnership with Procurated, a rating and reviews platform that provides satisfaction ratings for businesses that work with government buyers, including our statewide contract vendors. Our partnership with Procurated has helped OSD understand buyer satisfaction when they purchase from our vendors. For our buyer community, Procurated offers access to feedback from other government buyers that you may find useful when making purchasing decisions. So where does this rating information come from, and how can you access it? Today, I'm pleased to welcome Genna Gold, Senior Director at Procurated, who will speak with us about the information Procurated offers to public buyers, free of charge. We're also joined by Ryan Johnson, Category Manager for IT Equipment and Telecommunications at OSD. Ryan will provide his perspective about how vendor data from Procurated not only helps buyers make informed purchasing decisions, but also works to build better Massachusetts statewide contracts. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Genna, let's start with you. Please take a few minutes to tell us about Procurated and the information you gather from public organizations.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Procurated is the ratings and review site for the public sector. It was founded by our CEO, David Yarkin, who was the past Chief Procurement Officer for the state of Pennsylvania. And it was founded out of frustration. So he was frustrated because he could find a ton of information on where to find the best lobster rolls and the best Italian food in the North End, but he couldn't find any information on supplier performance. So really at its core, the site is kind of like the Yelp or TripAdvisor for public procurement. Right now, there are currently over 85,000 reviews on Procurated, and that's all reviews written by verified public sector buyers and end users. And today we're obviously here to talk about Massachusetts, but just so you know, it is a national platform. We have users in all 50 states. And what's great about this is buyers may be looking for information on a vendor who isn't yet reviewed by somebody in Massachusetts, but they do have the access to reviews by other people. Maybe it's someone in Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, and that gives them information that they wouldn't have had before. Massachusetts was one of our earliest adopters and one of Procurated's first state partners. And in Massachusetts in particular, we currently have over 8,000 reviews written by someone within the state.
Wow, so that's a lot of information gathered. So how is this information beneficial to public buyers?
So it gives buyers a few different things. One is a way to extend their personal network. So before, a buyer would need to pick up the phone and call a limited network of people to learn about the past performance of suppliers, or maybe even go online and look at reviews that aren't specifically from the public sector. This now provides a quick and easy way to learn about what it's like to work with a vendor before you've even interacted with them, just kind of as you would on Google if you're looking at reviews, or Yelp. It also gives a centralized place for buyers to provide feedback on their own experiences with vendors to help their peers in public procurement within the Commonwealth, but also nationally. There's also a search feature that allows buyers to discover new vendors and even filter down by business designation. So for example, like a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, etc. Buyers also have the option to click a button that will share the reviews with the vendors. I personally love this because now not only are you sharing your experience with your peers, but you're letting the vendors know, hey, deliveries are pretty inconsistent, or hey, you have the best customer service thanks to our local rep. Thanks for what you do. So now these reviews can also be shared with the vendors to help improve the relationship that the Commonwealth has with them and give them great feedback on where they're are areas for improvement, and something they don't typically hear, which is what they're doing really well.
We're going to talk about how easy it is for buyers to access procurated information. But first, I want to pull Ryan into this conversation to get your thoughts, Ryan, about how Procurated fits into the sourcing unit's contract management process.
Sure. So information from Procurated is central to the rollout of our new category management strategy, in which feedback from our buyers is critical. It allows us to better understand what's working with our contracts and vendors, and also identify areas where we may need to focus some extra attention. It also enhances our business review process. When we conduct a review with a vendor, we want to be able to share actual buyer feedback. So when they leave the business review that day, they know exactly where they stand and what they need to improve upon so that they can provide the best possible experience for buyers. Data from Procurated also helps strategic sourcing teams to build new key performance indicators into future contracts to give us even better tools that we can use to keep vendors on track and maintain compliance. So in essence, the Procurated platform supports us in collecting buyer feedback that will have a direct impact on the decisions we make and the development and management of our contracts.
I can see how that's certainly an important piece of the sourcing process. So getting back to you, Genna, can you share with us, how do you gather this feedback from public buyers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So each month, OSD provides Procurated with transaction data. Our team then uses this transaction data to email and call buyers and end users to try to gather reviews on Massachusetts' behalf. So it's very likely that some people listening to this podcast today have received an email or a phone call. So thank you to all of you who have provided reviews. Without your participation, this really wouldn't work. You also don't have to wait to hear from us. And I'll mention this a little bit later as well, but you can go to Procurated, sign in with your work email, and write reviews of your suppliers. Writing reviews is a really easy way to share your feedback. So you'll be asked to provide a score from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Then you can rate subcategories. So that's going to include things like timeliness, customer service, pricing and value, and quality. And then you'll be asked to add some context about your experience. So are there areas for improvement? Like I mentioned before, how is the customer service? Do you think the pricing and value is competitive? And as Brian mentioned, as of, I think, last quarter, we had the ability for contract managers to monitor the reviews on their specific contracts. So it's really important that you provide honest and specific feedback that they can use to help the vendors improve.
And Genna, just giving us some context, how long does it generally take for a buyer to complete a Procurated review?
Really can take no more than 2 to 5 minutes. So you will have to use your work email to make sure that we can verify you as an employee of the Commonwealth, but really doesn't take very long at all.
That's good to know. So that's how buyers provide feedback. How do buyers get access to the information shared by other government buyers?
All you need to do is go to procurated.com, select sign up, and then choose I'm a buyer, then register with your work email, and our team will manually approve you within 1 to 3 business days.
It sounds like an easy process to get started. Ryan, I want to get back to you about something you said earlier about the importance of this data to building contracts, managing contracts, and ensuring buyers are satisfied. What message do you want to pass along to buyers about Procurated?
Well, our hope in sourcing is that buyers will take full advantage of the opportunity to not only access existing Procurated reviews, but as Genna was saying, also to submit their own reviews about their experiences with our statewide contract vendors. It takes just a couple of minutes to provide a review when Procurated reaches out, and your feedback really is so important to us here at OSD and in sourcing.
And Genna, are buyers able to proactively complete a statewide contract vendor review, or do they need to wait for Procurated to reach out to them?
That's a great question. As I mentioned, they may hear from us with an email or a phone call, really important to respond to that to make this all kind of work and make this be a feedback ecosystem. But buyers can initiate a review whenever they'd like, and we really encourage you to do that. So again, super easy to register for the site with your work email. After you're approved, you can go to any supplier page. There's going to be a button that you can click to add a review for that supplier. And it's, again, really quick and easy process. Something you may also hear from is your vendors are part of this. So they may reach out and say, hey, we want you to provide feedback on Procurated. So a lot of different ways for you to hear from us, but you can always be proactive and go to Procurated and write reviews on your own.
Terrific. Well, we've covered a lot of territory today. I hope our buyers have a newfound appreciation of our partnership with Procurated. Where can buyers get more information?
They can go to procurated.com to create an account and log in. They can also reach out to us directly at support@procurated.com.
Well, thank you. Genna and Ryan, thank you for speaking with us today and helping buyers to better understand how to take advantage of this useful platform. This concludes today's episode about Procurated. For more information, go to procurated.com. That's PROCURATED.com. Or reach out to Procurated at support@procurated.com. OSD looks forward to engaging with you on our social media and YouTube channels. Links to those are in the description box. To suggest ideas for future podcasts, email the OSD team at osdoutreach@mass.gov. Thanks again to Genna Gold and Brian Johnson for joining us today. This podcast was engineered and edited by Layla Palmer and produced and hosted by me, Miriam Stein. Thank you for listening.